connectedness. But why don't you explain the title, The One That Is Both?
Okay, so each one of us is one that is both. Each one of us is a unity of opposites. And the main character, whose name is Jerry, is on a journey to discover who he really is. And he comes to understand that he, like you, like me, like everybody else, is one that is both, is one that embodies this individual and wholeness all at the same time.
Now, I noticed you chose a man named Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any particular reason why you chose a male for a protagonist?
No particular reason. I have an equally strong female protagonist, and they kind of, dance together. Mm-hmm. One helps the other find the opposite characteristics, like the female helps the male find his female characteristics and vice versa, mm-hmm. to truly become integrated in that way.
And is there romance between Jerry and this woman?
Well, it's not a, it's not a hot sexual romance, but there's some sparks.
Yeah.
There's a connection.
What is that Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged? Mm-hmm. That was a great book. Did you ever read that?
No, I haven't read that.
Oh, that's a great book. Well, that's what and it's a very high compliment, because that's like a great seller to be put in that category. What other books are similar to yours?
Well, I like to think mine is a cross between Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, mm-hmm. and the Celestine Prophecy.
Oh, okay. We actually had James Redfield last year at our Infinity benefit. He spoke and gave a workshop. And why do you feel those two books are similar to yours?
Well, the Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance deals with some very profound questions. And it is a journey of discovery. Mm. So that's how I see my book as being similar to that one. It's not as long and philosophical, mm-hmm. although it does get into some philosophy. And the Celestine Prophecy was more like a spiritual journey, with more of a storyline, a discovery, an adventure. Mm-hmm. And so that's how it's kind of like the Celestine Prophecy.
Okay, so is there an adventure in your story?
Yeah, there's an adventure.
I would say, well, let me just ask you this, is when you seek personal growth, is that an adventure? Instead of going to, let's say, the North Pole or the moon, just, trying to discover who you are, that's quite an adventure.
It is quite an adventure, because you see some things you never thought you'd see, and you get to be someone you never thought you'd get to be, and it's very much an adventure.
Now, how has writing this book been for you an adventure?
Oh, wow, that's quite a question. Writing the book itself has been a challenge, for starters. Many people, myself included, when I started writing the book, have a little critical voice inside that tells them, oh, nobody will ever want to read that, Who do you think you are? And so the first adventure is getting beyond that little voice, mm-hmm. and writing and just having the courage to say, okay, you can read it now. And so that's the first adventure. And then once it's written, you start a whole new adventure.
Well, let me just, you said that it took you 10 drafts?
Oh, at least.
How many years did it take?
The actual writing took 3 years. Mm-hmm. The formulating it took 20. I've been thinking about these things for over 20 years.
And how long have you been living it?
Oh.
That's the rest of your life.
That's the rest of my life, yes.
Now, and I would think, given the fact that you're a science writer and editor, that writing is natural for you.
I've been writing for many years. It does come pretty naturally.
And did you take any ideas from your scientific writing and use it in the book?
I took things from every aspect of my life, from the science, from the philosophy, from I dance tango. Mm-hmm. You know, there's some of that in there, from my spiritual studies. It all came together.
And how does tango end up in the one that is both?
Well, you know, tango is a very special dance because it brings two people together heart to heart. Mm-hmm. And when you get a really good tango dance, you lose your boundaries and you just feel like you're not there anymore, and you're just moving with your partner and to the music, and you don't feel the physical constraints and limitations. It's a really joyful experience.
It sounds like a peak experience or a religious experience.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah. Anything else that you drew from your life and put in the book?
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it. Although it's not autobiographical. Although I'm part of Jerry and Helen and Tom and Tara and all the characters. There isn't one character that's like, oh, that's Lisa. No.
Well, it is said that, like Stephen King, when he doesn't like someone, he kind of like kills them off in his novels. You don't have to name any names, but did you get any revenge in anybody in your life in the book?
No, I didn't do that. I didn't. I used names of my friends, but they're not actual portrayals of my friends.
So how did you come about writing this book?
Well, I had tried to write nonfiction for many years, but that little critical voice I told you about kept stopping me. And so finally, I just let go and said to my inner self, whatever comes out is what I'll write. Mm-hmm. And so what came out was a story. It was like I would close my eyes and see a movie playing in my head, and I'd just, write down what was going on in the movie in my head, and it just developed organically after that.
Well, it's interesting because your critical voice was auditory. It talked to you.
Yeah.
And then when it came to actual writing it was a movie, which we said you see, so
right.
It was visual. So interesting how you access your brain a little bit differently. Why is the one that is both set in the near future?
Well, it's set in the near future to give us something to work for, like a possibility that could actually come about.
Well, there's a lot of doom and gloom philosophy going on right now with the Iraqi war, the economy,
movies that are coming out.
Price of gasoline, etc. What do you see in the near future? Are you an optimist here?
I'm an optimist, yeah. I believe we're moving towards a state of greater wholeness. Mm-hmm. And
not entropy or chaos, as so many scientists would argue.
No. Actually, life requires novelty. Chaos is the opposite of life-giving.
Okay. Chaos is disorder, and the opposite of that would be order.